What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another deck profile. Today, we're going to be talking about the Nightmare list that I took to this week's Retro Webcam Wednesday. So, Nightmare, 6 hand size, 29 health character, kind of the epitome of an aggro character. If you are one of the My Hero kids, if you jumped in during MHA1, he's very similarly shaped to Ochako 2. It says, if your attack's printed damage is double its printed speed, you get 2 bonus damage. And so that's going to be on every attack that we play. Followed by response, after this attack is blocked, you're going to add it back up to your hand, saying, I sling a really big, scary move at you. If you try to interact with it, I get to play it a second time. And then lastly, in hands, he has a little bit of burn after your attack is blocked. My rival mills cards. If they milled attacks, I burn them for 1, and that can finish the game. They can win you the game. This character is very aggressive. This character hits like a truck, and so let's jump into it. I think he's perfect for any new player trying to jump into retro. So without further ado, let's talk attacks. The first attack that we have under this evil Nightmare list is Vicious Madness. This is a 4 mid for 8, so 4 mid for 10 with Nightmare throw. And so if they block it, you get to deal 5 damage, add it back to your hand, and then play it again and see if they have an additional mid block. Because it has the enhance of lose 2 health, this attack cannot be partially blocked. And so if they're going to block this 10 damage bomb, they have to, block it correctly. If they just don't have the correct zone, it just isn't going to work out. So Vicious Madness is crazy. The next big bomb that we have is just Life Force Thread. This is probably the most underutilized, powerful, or potent attack that we have inside of this deck. It is just a 4 mid for 8 throw, so 4 mid for 10 with Nightmare. And it has, if this attack is not blocked at the top card of your momentum, we currently have no momentum outs in the deck. And then if this attack is received a speed and damage bonus, which it gets damage from Nightmare, but it doesn't really get speed from anywhere else in the deck. There's literally 3 cards that give speed, and so it can be a little difficult to activate visibility. But it's just a 4 mid for 10 that if they block, they take 5, and then you pick it up and you slam another 10 damage throw at them. It's very, very good. The next one is just double Azuna Drop. Azuna Drop is a flash, which is really cool in this deck. No, you don't get to use the bottom enhance here, but it does say that if they block this 3 high for 8 throw, because it's 6 damage, plus 2 from Nightmare, you get to spend your rival's entire momentum and then pick it up and play it again. And if you happen to be at Desperation, which is if you're at 14 or less, yes, if you're at 14 or less, it gets an extra 2 damage. So now it's a 10 damage throw. So again, it's in the same vein as these guys. So you play it, you sling it, you pick it up, you play it again. On to the big ones. We've got 4 Finger Daggers out of our new Yu Hakusho set. 3 mid for 8. If it hits them, you get to draw a card, and so you play it. If they block it, you pick it back up and you play it again. They have to have 2 mid blocks in order to deal with this, which means that they might not have answers for other things. Also got a pretty gnarly 2 high block, just all around, just a good tempo card for turn 2. From here, my least favorite attack in the deck, it is just 4 Final Round Gut Shot, 3 mid for 8 inside of our character. Response, after you play this, my rival mills 8. This is way more relevant inside of retro, because there's a lot of cards in retro that interact with the discard pile of, like, hey, if you have a thing in the discard pile, like, go pick something up for the discard pile, or so on and so forth. And this card can feel like a detriment more than a bonus sometimes, but it is just like a 3 mid for 8 flash attack. It's got the low block that I cared about. It could have been something else. It also is a 4 diff, which if you look back here at the first couple moves, we're playing a lot of 5 diffs. And so just having a 4 diff that I can use Nightmare's Bump on that has a block is relevant. And then the last attack in our deck, my favorite attack inside of all of UniVersus, is just 4 Flame Aura. This card says that if while it's in the card pool, if any block happens, itself included, my rival loses 1 health. When we are on such a pretty gnarly throw plan of playing out these absolutely massive bombs, if they go down to a low enough health total, you can just play Flame Aura, and then the combination of Flame Aura, them blocking and milling, and then picking it back up is very good. The big thing is it just doesn't get the damage pump from Nightmare. And so, like, important things to note is, like, if they go to 2 health, playing a singular Flame Aura means you guarantee win the game. Because you play the Flame Aura, they block it, because if they take 4, they die. You respond with Nightmare, and they burn 1, respond with Nightmare, you pick it up, you play it again. Well, now they have to block it again, or else they die. Not to mention any amount of burn that you get off of Nightmare. It's very easy to close out games whenever your rival's at, like, 4, 5, 6 health, just with a singular copy of Flame Aura. Not to mention blocking and burning them and winning the game that way, which did end up happening last night. With that, we're on to the actions. We've got 4 Revoke. Revoke is just a cancel. It is building early whenever you need it, normally just on turn 1. And then every turn after turn 1, it is just an incredible cancel. 0 diff cancels any enhance that is played, including on the character card. If you, a retro staple, you should be playing Revokes if you have these symbols. Up next, I've got Double Deliverance. My character is very, very bad at defense, and inside of Retro, inside of most universes, attacks hit really, really hard. And so at a response speed, before I would take damage from an unblocked attack, make it 4. It's kind of like a baby runaway, but it's a 2-4-0 mid block rather than the 2-5 that has a 5 mid block or whatever. But it also has the added upside of enhance, remove, draw a card. So if I'm trying to dig a little deeper, if I don't think the set this thing's damage to 4 is going to be very helpful, it can just cantrip into an additional card, which is, you know, just pretty good. On to the assets. We're playing 1 Team Dr. Ichigaki. Cancels are very good, and so 4 Revoke, 1 Team Doctor is relevant enough to just close out the game. We're playing a big aggro machine. We don't want their disruption to stop us. On to the foundations. Our first aggro foundation is just going to be triple Soul of the Sword. Easily can make this a 4 of if I had 4 of it. Only found 3 of it this afternoon. Soul of the Sword just says enhance mill 3 cards, get +1 damage, which feels very good on these 10 damage throws to push them up into being 11 damage, which means on the block they now take 6. So they take 6, we lift it back, we play it again, it's another 11 damage. Sometimes if they block and then not block, they take a 17 damage off a singular move and 1 Soul of the Sword. Very, very, very strong card. In the same idea, we're also playing triple Floating Around My Babies. 0 diff, so building it out early is super good. Tactically works with Soul of the Sword of I mill 3, remove 3 to play the game. And this Soul of the Sword also has this really cool ability that says response after an attack is blocked. If there's a copy of the removed attack in the game, draw a card. Works really well with floating. And it punishes my rival for blocking even more than previously. Up next, we're talking about that speed that we had. The only aggro speed card that we have is just quick to act. If I'm half dead, my move gets a little faster, which is very cool on the Life Force thread, because it says if it's gotten a speed bonus, my next one gets 3 speed and 1 damage, which is very good then later on a Vicious Madness or even additional Life Force threads, because they can chain each other pretty well. But with that said, this card is fine. It's a 0 diff. That's what we really cared about. Onto the defense, we're playing 3 copies of Incubating, just as like an all-around speed hate card. Just removing cards out of my discard pile. Again, we can go back to this Soul of the Sword tech. I will play this 4 damage throw, or sorry, this 4 speed throw. I'll make it 3 speed by removing the Vicious Madness. If they block it, I will draw an additional card if I need to dig a little deeper. And so there are certainly some small tactics in order for you to like get your game plan online. And Incubating is just a good defense piece for that. Our last defensive piece that we have is just double Invincible Body. Same idea here with the Deliverance of attacks hit really hard, and I don't actually have a ton of defense. And so just having Invincible Body, being able to, you know, correctly time you're going to pump something up really big. Nah, it's okay. I just want it to be 0, can be really clutch. On to some flow cards. We've got True Identity, First Form, Commit. All my moves are a little easier to play. It's Check Insurance. Very good because of how many 5 diffs that we are playing. It's very, very strong to you know, just say that we cover the cost of 1 foundation for the rest of the turn. In the same vein, we've got Incompatible Quirks, played at a 3 of. I was going to play it at a 2 of, but decided to bump it up a little bit. It's very True Identity flavored of, if I commit 2 foundations, I can use Incompatible Quirks, remove one of them to then re-ready it back. And so, like, constant throughout the turn, it just pays for an extra foundation to be played. Up next, we've got for the Azure Nightmare, 1/6, so the 6 check is hyper relevant. It says, if it's committed, discard a card to re-ready it back up. It's like another version of Incompatible Quirks. And so whenever you have things like Incompatible Quirks, True Identity, and now the Azure Nightmare, you take like a 4 or 5 card stage that you initially built with, and it actually turns into closer to like having 10 foundations, which is really, really potent. It also has a couple of extra abilities of if stunned burn, if discarded burn. We don't necessarily care about those. We care about passing our big 10 damage throws. In order to do that, I have to have a readied stage. Another re-readying card that we have is just Hell's Reach. Easily could be a 4 of. I only own 3 of these, and so we just play the 3. Enhance flip, ready this card, playable while committed. So in a clutch, in a pinch, it is here, and now it's there. Feels good. Feels okay. Next flow card, we have Orphaned Alchemist. Honestly, it's a 0/6/2 low block that says if my rival tries to interact with my discard pile, I can cancel that thing and then redraw, as well as just enhance flip, reveal the top card of my deck. Hey, I need to check a 5 here in order to win the game. I'm going to look at the top card of my deck and see, is there a 5? What happens if I reveal a 3? Things like that. All in all, just a good piece if used just appropriately. You just have to play with the card to feel the power. Up next, we've got 3 Settling Old Debts. I think I used the enhance on this card 1 time. This is such an easy flex slot of this card could be whatever you want it to be. I thought that I was going to want a little bit more draw power, but truthfully, with the 22 attacks, I think 65, 66 card deck, I felt like I was finding my pieces plenty. So this probably could be something else, maybe a use for momentum somehow, or because we gather it so much, or a use for a little extra speed on something, maybe a little extra damage, but I felt like it did not need the extra draw power. It was not very relevant, but it is here, so we're showing it off. Onto the disruption cards. We've got 1 Demanding Submission. Easily, you put more of this in the sideboard. I'm happy I got to showcase this card. The card says Response Destroy after my rival plays a keyword ability, cancels effects. If it had a rating, burn them for that rating. So we already have a sub-theme of burn inside of Nightmare, and so being able to cancel things like Powerful Multiple, EX, is very good, but more importantly, it cancels things like Echo, and most importantly, it cancels Reversal. So they block Reversal. I just tell them no. No, they don't get the burn for it, but they just lost the bonus card out of their hand, which means that my 10 damage throws just going to hit incredibly, incredibly hard. And then my last disruption card is just Profane Sanctuary. This card says Response Cancel Breaker. Oh, this also cancels Breaker. Response Cancel Breaker. I'm playing a ton of 5 diff moves that I'm looking to play and then replay, and so having any amount of Breaker Cancel on board is hyper important. We both mill to can be really situational if it comes up at all, if it matters. But this card is in here to stop Breaker. You definitely play more of it in the sideboard if you need to have 4 of this in your deck somewhere, as long as you have these 3 symbols. And so with that, there is the Nightmare list that I played at this week's Retro Webcam Wednesday. Thank you, everybody who watched or played in tonight's event. It was very cool to see you all there. Genuinely, if you're a new player to Retro and you like playing aggro decks, Nightmare is a 10 out of 10 character that you absolutely should play. He's got a very fun, engaging gameplay loop that is exciting for you to play and maybe a little toxic for your rival to deal with. But with that, thank you much for watching the video. I can't wait to see you in the next Webcam Wednesday. If you like this or have any questions about the deck, leave them in the comments down below, either here or over on Patreon. But with that, thank you much for watching, and I wish you well.